Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hunting Dad podcast. It's been a long, hot day at work. I worked a total of 4 hours today and took off at lunch like everybody else. It's fixing to be 4th of July, and I'm joined by a good buddy of mine, Mr. Byron Horton. How's it going, man?
Dude, it is here. 4th of July is that tip off, like rounding the bases towards deer season.
That's right. I think it's under 55 days for me when I go down to Tennessee. Yep. I feel sorry for the first 2.5-year-old I see down there every year. I put the X on one that's still looking for his mama. It makes all the trophy hunters pissed. That's the goal, but
that's all right.
That's right. Now let's start this off with a dad joke that I found in the last, I think, 45 seconds before I hopped on here. I was struggling. Man, I don't even know if this one's that funny. It says, I thought the dryer was shrinking my clothes. Turns out it was the damn refrigerator the entire time.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, not good at all. Anyway,
that's all right.
Yeah. Anyways, so the reason I wanted to bring Byron on, guys, is because I'm not going to say we have super polar opposite views on everything, but Byron has his thoughts on things and I have mine. And the thing is like everybody that feels strongly about something is confident in it, and they, like, a lot of times when like somebody feels like they're doing something wrong, or we think that somebody's doing something wrong, maybe they don't see it that way just because that's the way that they like genuinely feel. And we're going to talk about cell cameras today, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So Byron, before we get into that, why don't you go ahead and run us over kind of like your career, maybe your family. I know you're a dad as well, and what all that stuff kind of looks like for you.
Yeah. So dad-wise, we go to zone defense here in about a month, where the adults will be outnumbered.
Oh boy.
And little boy is 5, and he's just starting to get the bug. He caught a pretty nice bass the other night, about 20 inches long, and he's got the fishing bug. I will say this: having a boy into fishing, I fished more in the last 2 summers than I have in like 10 years. So
yeah,
that's been cool to do. As far as the day job, I kind of work in the finance space, and then I've dabbled in the hunting realm. Like I've done some editing for a web show. I've done social media type pieces for a few various companies that I've worked with, and some still working with, and kind of built the whitetail experience. That's kind of like my core product, if you will. That I've had a YouTube channel, but about the same time you started. About 10 years.
Yeah.
And kind of a handful of hunts, but also like YouTube style content, testing things, gear reviews. Stuff like how to keep your beer cold at deer camp. Does a koozie really matter? Like just a variety of topics, right? Like you and I both kind of dabble in the space and do other content that's funny or relatable, not just so day to day, if you will, in the hunting realm. And I've complimented you before when you have something funny or witty.
I appreciate that. And it's funny, there's been times where I've seen you say something and you're super edgy about it. I know you're joking, but I'm like, I used to tell a couple old buddies, I was like, I don't know if I like this guy. I'm not. Some stuff you would say would make me so mad. But then I say stuff that makes people mad. So what does it matter? We're all just having good fun. And honest God, the whole goal for everybody that loves what we do is just to go out and have fun, enjoy killing deer, period. So
yeah. And like, if we were two sports fans, right, and you said like, well, Ohio State sucks or whatever, if you like trashed a receiver I like, or a point guard, right? Like, think about those discussions on like sports radio and sports. Like, they disagree all the time and get a little heated, little like, I think that's crap. I think that's good. And this guy's way better than so-and-so. And you're lying. I mean, look at the MJ LeBron debate.
Well, everybody knows MJ's the best, so.
Yeah, thanks.
That's right. Well, man, let's allude to some of the tech advances in hunting. Let's start with like cell cameras. So kind of give me like a brief thing of like your stance on them, like why you dislike them, and maybe kind of like the middle ground, and we'll get into stuff that we can both kind of agree on, and I'll kind of give my side of it.
Yeah, so we don't have to go to the story, but in general, I'd say, summarizing my thoughts about cell cams, it's like cell cams essentially are a not fair chase tool in the, I don't know, hunting realm, if you will. I think the undetected ability to be multiple places at one time, and the fact the animals don't know, like there's no plus minus to be had versus if you and I had radios, right? This was illegal for years in the 90s, 2000s. Technically, you cannot stand in the woods where a deer can see you, can smell you, can evade you, and radio a buddy. But yet we're okay with the text messages being sent to hunters. And a lot of my like distaste for the cell cam is, yes, we're here currently, but I see what's coming in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And my distaste, like I started, presenting these cases, and I said, guys, like the Ring doorbell is coming to your cell cam, and this was rewind 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And this summer, 2 other companies have said, hey, we got the live feature now too. So that's kind of where I come from it. I don't think it's the best overall implementation for hunting going forward. And a lot of this stems from like, I want my son and the next generation. And like, I was not a super early hunter and came into the sport maybe in let's call it 18-ish years old, 17-ish years old.
Gotcha.
And I want that opportunity for the next generations. And I think also we look at hunting. Hunting is an outdoor activity. Hunting is primitive in nature. And I'm just boldly saying hunting text messages, is not either of those two things. And we need to be careful what the direction of the sport this may bring.
I could not agree more. And, thinking this past week with all the stuff that was going on with Mike Lee, and of course we're recording July 3rd, so it may be a week or two before this is dropped. But, so many people came together in agreement, and, some people may not even use public land. They were, calling still and things like that. It's like, as a group, man, it was awesome that we stood up for it. And it made me realize how important it really is to continue on to the next generation. Because I take it for granted. And in my head for years I have, until like this happened. Like I woke up, like we need more people advocating for hunting and what it stands for in general. You know what I mean? Like the core roots of where we come from. And I was going to ask you next, like, do you feel like it's really the cell camera that you hate, or is it the people that abuse them and use them in a way? Because I kind of have my thoughts on how they're used and how they should be used and things that I would like to see changed. But is it the person or the product that you see as the issue?
I think it's the product and what it does, especially in the fair chase realm, right? Like you're learning about deer with ever going to the deer woods. Mm-hmm. And like that just feels dirty. And then also like some of the futuristic aspects, like now guys are literally locking up ground, not hunting it unless they get the cell cam pick. What does that do to distribution of hunters? What does that look like in 10 years when now these things are the size of tennis balls and they go thermal, they pivot, they zoom?
Oh, God.
Do you pull up a tablet and tap into your 50 live cameras? And, it's looking at what's coming. And I'm saying, hey, I think we just need to axe this just like the NFL axe Stickum, if you will. I think you're taking this product essentially is like doesn't need to be in the outdoors, doesn't need to be part of hunting. Yeah, it's not just the abuse. It's the raw. You're learning about deer. There's a lot wrong with getting the texts and not spending time in the deer woods. I got the issue with.
Yeah, and I can agree to a lot of that. Is, guys like me that were brought up and learned the way that we learned without all the technological advances, and we do take advantage of some of them now. And maybe that's because, it's almost one of the things where like you jump on or you get left behind. Not exactly, because there's plenty of people that do fine without them. But for me, even though I use quite a few of them and I enjoy them, they're never in a place where I can just run and jump out there and go kill that deer. And there's a show on YouTube. It's pretty big. It's more geared towards the private land side. And there's always somebody on there like, got the picture, ran out there, he's dead, 2 or 3 hours later. I see them abused so much over bait piles. And in states like, say, Iowa, Kansas, where you've got these, one, states where you can bait, and 2, states where it's more vast and open, And the wood lots or the, the bottoms and whatnot, the small amount of timber that whether you're putting your cameras or all this stuff, you can visually see if a deer's left or hasn't left. You know what I mean? So whereas I do enjoy them and I do enjoy the benefits that they provide, I do not like the people that abuse them so like, take this for example. If Andy May picked up a cell camera, went out to the woods, and he ended up killing a buck, I wouldn't bat an eye or think that was the reason he did it because he's proved himself, he can do it without it. But these guys that could not survive, they could not fathom what is happening without them. They couldn't fathom what they're doing without a corn pile. Like, they would be lost. Like, I'm not mad at people for using those things, but you're doing yourself a disservice of not learning how to hunt without them. And it's like, we're going to get into crossbows, I'm sure. It's like you're jumping right into these things. You're not learning, quote unquote, the right way to do things, which who's to say what's right and wrong? It's just like this stuff means more to some of us than others. Some of us, it's the hunt for an animal. It's the chase. It's the chess match. And others, it's just another deer on the wall. You know what I mean? And, I killed a buck last year over corn with a gun in a blind with my children that I set up to shoot does. You know what I mean? Over a cell camera. And I killed a buck that had not been on that camera or in that area. And while it was enjoyable to see my kids light up and get to see like a buck and help me drag it out and stuff, like you said, it just doesn't feel as good as it was if you did it the right way. I mean, did I kill, I think the deer was like right at 130, killed a 130-inch deer. Super tickled with that. I'm happy, but it just doesn't mean as much as the one I killed a week later that I went in blind, used tactics that I've learned over the years from podcasts and people that I've talked to, and went in and killed almost a 150-inch deer on probably the most pressured public piece in Kentucky. So it's just, I don't like people that abuse them. I think it's wrong. And I'm hoping that we can talk later on in this about ways that maybe we could, like you said, maybe not axe them completely, but let's draw the line somewhere,
Yeah, and like you had brought up, like you don't have like the ability to jump into the woods or whatever the within hours, right? And a lot of people argue that, and I'm like, I listened to a podcast out of Wired to Hunt, and then they had an outfitter guy on there, and he's like, okay, a lot of people talking about cell cams and they can't act within 2 hours or the next day, but it's like we've all ran cameras on that scrape from October 10th through the 20th. And what happens October 26th after the rain front and the coldest day of the week? That deer's there in daylight.
Right.
And the cell cam killed that deer a week earlier when, okay, he's hit that scrape twice this week. I wonder where he's going to be. Let's call it scrape week. Like the odds are in your favor. And full disclosure, I implemented trail cam kills very effectively, but it was like the 10th through the 20th. I had to go to the deer woods, grab the cards, and okay, where should I be that last week of October, first couple days of November?
Right.
And it was just like, God, this is no offense. Without the trail cam, I don't know if I kill those deer. And then the cell cam now is allowing that to be very advantageous.
So you kind of, do you feel pretty much the same way about normal trail cameras as you do cell cameras?
Well, okay, so we can not as much because a regular trail camera, right? 15 minutes down the road versus you swiping your phone and you've got the update.
Right.
Your trail camera is undisturbed. So let's say that's like a 200% more effective right there, right?
Yeah.
But from a time perspective, the cell cam is 6,000 times more effective versus, let's think here, a trail cam 15 minutes down the road. So I got 15 minutes to go there. I got 15 minutes to walk in, grab it, get back to the house. So you got an hour, tied up in checking that card. And that deer can smell me. Deer could see me. The deer could have heard me come in. He can detect the game's on, the chase is there. Versus the cell cam, the undisturbed is a multiplier, but the time alone is a 6,000 gain. And I'm just like, ooh,
see,
that's scary.
That's where I personally like them, because with a full-time job and 3 kids and a wife that I'm trying so hard, walking on eggshells, to keep content for 3 months, 4 months at a time. Time is precious, and I've gotten to the point where like the scent saving, the disturbance saving, and the time saving, I'm willing to at least admit like, yeah, that definitely helped me kill that deer. Did it kill that deer? Did I still have to go out and place it? Did I have to buy the batteries? Did I have to buy the damn subscriptions and all that stuff? Sure, but that's not exactly labor. It's just like, I still feel like guys like me that put in the time and get out and place them, it amounts to something. And I promise you right now, if Kentucky, Indiana, wherever I go, decided to get rid of them completely, like I would still feel confident that I'm going to go out there and I'll tag a buck. For me, it's almost like an extra hobby, because whereas I've gotten pictures of deer that I've killed, I've never in the last however many years can remember an instance that I got a picture of a buck even the night before I woke up or at 12 o'clock during the rut and I went out that afternoon. I almost have never killed a deer based off of that because they're gone. You know what I mean? And like you alluded to, the scrape and the rain and stuff coming in and whatnot is like, most of the time you go hunt that scrape, he's freshened it already or whatever it is. It's like, he's probably not coming to that scrape, but when you've got multiple of them in the woods, that definitely makes a difference. What I'm saying is they have never like killed the deer for me that day. You know what I mean? They have 100% helped me in learning the deer and his habits and keeping me out of there and not screwing him up. But it's just, let
me ask this, because I don't know, it literally tells you where to start pointing the truck. If you haven't been in the woods for 5 days, mm-hmm. and you're hunting Saturday morning, it's October 20th, so you're probably not taking some PTO just yet for the slightly more hardcore crowd. You're like, hey, this week I got 2 pictures on either Farm B or piece of public C. I think I should go there to hunt. Right. Or, hey, I got a daylight picture. I'm going to go hunt this deer. Like, that is, you could be 30 places. Mm-hmm. Guys like you and I, we pull up the pin systems. We got hundreds of places to hunt, 3 or 4 different counties, WMAs we haven't been to in maybe a year or 2. But if I got 30 cell cams, I can cover some ground. I can cover literally almost, if I really wanted to, I could probably cover 50 to 80% the public in the state because I'm centrally located.
Right. I'll tell you what you're going to run into there, because I don't know exactly how many I have. It's not that many, obviously, but like, especially when the time is right and it's good and it's November and you don't even need cameras during that point. You need to go walk your way in the woods, pick a tree and climb up and hunt that pinch point, whatever, 2 or 3 times if the wind prevails or is persistent enough to let you do it. You're going to get 6 different big deer on camera all over the place on different properties. And at that point, it's like, you're going to make the wrong decision. Where, one of the next questions I was kind of thinking of is, how many deer have they saved versus killed? With people making wrong decisions or going to hunt where a deer was and he's not coming back through, especially during the rut. Those pictures are so useless at that point. Whereas in October, like you said, he hits a scrape 2 or 3 times at night, 20th through the 26th. And then we get this nice little cold front that bumps in October 27th. It's like, probably be a good place to be. One or, of the other 7 or 8 scrapes that he's been hitting.
Yeah, no, I think they kill a lot of deer because think about the podcast you listen to, the term daylighted. I'd say 80% of the podcast, when they're telling the story of their buck kill, they say, oh, he daylighted. And then generally that hunter starts either actively hunting that piece of ground where he was kind of doing other things or he was like waiting, right? Waiting for him to show up in daylight. Then he knows game's on, time to go. I mean, look at guys, there's thousands of guys that literally get the trail cam pick and can drive a state away that, have very big YouTube followings, if you know who I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, that happens, man. My, that happens as far as, do they save some deer? Yes. But I think they kill a lot of deer too. And you even see the cringe stories of guys are actively out in the woods and it's gun season. So now you have a weapon that gives you the reach of, hey, visual sight, you can kill him or get at least a crack.
Right.
And they're like, oh yeah, the cell cam went off and you still hunt towards that location. Like, that's the future of the sport.
Yep.
Is tap into your cell cams, or literally, hey, these are the most active of the last 24, 48 hours. I should probably be in that area, with a firearm, actively still hunting.
Yep. Yep. And I wanted to tell you this story from last year. It was late muzzleloader season. I'm not going to say what state, but I had been after this buck for quite some time. It wasn't an area I had a lot of cameras in. I actually had more SDs in that area than cells. And I'd set up on this pinch point that I felt like if he just comes through here, I've got him. Like he's dead. That's all I need to know. And I'm hunting this deer hard, regardless of what pictures are telling me, because I know he's in there. And I can't express how much cameras miss or lie about. You get a photo, you don't get a photo. The deer, you get a photo of a deer walking up, and it's just like, well, where'd he go? I've had videos of them walk up to a scrape and turn around and walk right back where they come from. And I'm sitting there in the tree, and I was just scrolling. And I actually had my Moultrie app to where, like, I had to open it up and refresh it. And I had just done that, and I looked, and I had a new video. And I clicked on the video, and you have to ask to download it and all that stuff. So it takes a while. But, like, I looked at the name of it, and I could just see something in the background. And I'm like, that's the damn pinch point camera I've got 200 yards away. Download the video. Boom. There he is. 5 minutes later, it comes through. And at that point, I'm like, this deer should be right here. Well, I spotted him. And maybe it was God intervening and saying, this ain't the right way to do it. But I lost track. Dude, I'm telling you, he had to either walk out in a road and get killed or walk through this wide open CRP field, or he had to come within 50 yards of me. So I see him, I lose him, I see him, I lose him. It's right there at that. It's really getting dark, but it's still legal light. And I lost him completely. And like, I'm frantic, dude, because I've been trying to kill this deer since October 1st. And I'm like, this is my chance. I've got a muzzleloader sitting in front of me. It's like, all I need to do is get a clear shot at him. Well, long story short, I never saw him again. And I waited about 20 minutes after it got good and dark. I climbed down. I got back to my truck. And I was halfway home. And I refreshed the pictures again. And that deer had hit another camera that was 350, 400 yards past me. So in between those two cameras, roughly 800 yards apart, he hit that other camera while it was still gray light. So he made it past me in the woods in daylight without me picking him up. And I don't know how he did it. But I knew to look for that deer from that direction, which I was facing that direction anyways. But I knew to look there because I got the notification. And like instantly right there, you were one of the first people I thought of in my head. I'm like, oh, man, like I want to kill him, but how bad do I want to kill him? And what does it matter? And I mean, I'm going to, jump off this podcast and I'm still going to feel the same about him as I did before. And you're going to feel the same way that you did. But, what I was hoping to get out of this is like, is there a line that we can draw? Can we propose something to these companies to make it, to where at least it doesn't get to that point that you're talking about where you can move your camera around and you can turn on your infrared and stuff. Like, I don't want to see that happen, Hey, guys, let's talk about gear. And not just any gear, great gear. Latitude Outdoors has redefined the game with their lightweight mobile hunting solutions over the last few years. Designed by passionate hunters, their mobile hunting gear is all about stripping away the bulk so you can explore deeper, trek further, and stay agile in the woods. Every piece is crafted to allow you to move quickly when needed. Latitude Outdoors has actually made me a more efficient hunter with some of their gear, ranging all the way from their 19-ounce Carbon SS climbing sticks to the OG X-Wing platform. And my new personal favorite, the Maverick single panel saddle. This thing is super minimal. You can fold it up to where it doesn't even feel like it's on your back. This thing was a workhorse for me last year. This thing comes in at a great price point. So if you guys are interested, please be sure check out their full range of hunting gear over at latitudeoutdoors.com. You can find their climbing sticks, platforms, saddles, anything else you could possibly think of to get you in the woods and become a more efficient mobile hunter. Be sure to check those out at latitudeoutdoors.com, built for the mobile hunter. If you're looking to add a few new trail cameras to your arsenal this fall, look no further than Moultrie Products. Moultrie is one of the biggest and most trusted trail camera companies in the outdoor industry, and they have taken my scouting to a new level. The new Edge 2 and Edge 2 Pro cameras utilize next level AI technology like Smart Capture to do things such as trigger pictures on only bucks or only deer in general if you choose so, making false triggers on the wind or annoying raccoons over a bait pile a thing of the past. Another thing I love being a public land hunter is that the new cameras do not utilize SD cards, meaning nobody can steal your card and nobody can check your pictures. Not to mention, your old cell camera is giving you all those fits over faulty cards or needing formatted when you're miles or even states away. So if you're looking to up your scouting game this fall, check out these affordable, reliable, and easy to set up Edge Series cameras. You guys can check these out at Instagram, Facebook, and of course, MoultrieProducts.com.
Yeah. It's almost like I'm fearful that in 10 years, we're going to have these softball sized trail cams that are $50 a pop and the plans are $25-50. And yeah, you're going to go in the woods. They're all going to be up 40 foot or 30 foot. And they're going to be able to like almost be like the drone thermal cameras we all see on the interwebs meets a cell cam.
Yep.
And it's like, at that point, like they can penetrate like out 50 yards to detect thermal. It's like, that's what's coming. If we just say like, hey, no transmission, then we have regular trail cams potentially. And maybe that does help for age class purposes and general deer knowledge purposes. But that's where I'm like, there's a plus minus to regular trail cams as far as you got to have like generally daylight hours. And deer can understand they're going in the woods. Mm-hmm. You know, people are in the woods after them potentially.
Do you feel like the deer can sense those cameras more than other cameras?
You know, I got no idea. I don't know if they're smelling, you know, your hands being on there because 90% of hunters don't wear the gloves. And, you know, they can detect so much with their nose. Like, who knows? You know, do they look at that box on the tree and see like a shimmer shine from the lenses? You know, I got no idea. I do think deer pick up on regular cameras, trail cams, all of it. They're smart.
I've probably had just as many mature bucks for sure see it, and that's the only time I'd ever get a picture of them. And from that point, it was almost like, well, I'm going to start hunting, you know, where I know cameras aren't. Maybe he's avoiding them. Maybe he's walking right behind them, whatever that may be. But, you know, you alluded to something there that is one thing that I do genuinely enjoy about them. Now, I'm a guy that I'll shoot anything, given the circumstances of where I'm at, how much time I got. I just like killing deer, okay? But I have noticed, especially, you've been on social media probably just as long as I have, you know, since about 13, 14, 15, when these things started getting introduced. I think Spy Point kind of started the whole cell cam game. If they didn't, then whoever, you know, funded Spy Point has the technology. I could go on and on and on. From that point, it's like every time you jump on social media now, September, October, November, December, it's like the age, quality, and class of bucks, it seems like it's gone up. Like, you know, 150, that 150 mark back in the day, pre-2010, like, it still is. It's like that was a freaking slammer of a buck. Well, now you see quite a few of them killed every year. Some of them killed 160, 170, you know, plus it's like, I feel like people are being more picky now because they know what's out there versus before they didn't, which is both a good and a bad thing.
So I listened to Don Higgins on the Whitetail podcast with Hofer, what was that, 2 days ago? And
Jake?
He thinks there's less. Yeah,
okay.
he thinks there's actually less 150 caliber per square mile, 600 acres, than there was 10 years ago. And he said it's the crossbow and the cell cam, he thinks, in his area of Illinois. Like,
I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that.
He and I've heard Austin Chandler, another guy, and some of the guys that were bow hunting hardcore in the like turn of 2000s before the bow hunting craze.
Yep.
Like, I think that's probably when the peak of absolute giants roam the earth, right? Like, one, you could go get permission. Funny buddy, random conversation slash not hard pivot, but identical point. I had a buddy, Adam, Swampzilla on Instagram. He takes really awesome photos.
Yeah.
He said, dude, think of how awesome, how many big bucks would be out there if there was no cell cams, no bait piles, and everybody was out there with a stick bow. Like, if you just make the animal super hard to kill, right? Like, if we just had like limited tools and abilities, like, there'd just be more big bucks.
Right. Yeah, and I agree with that 100%.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
You know, I'd be with it. If everybody was on the same playing level, you're right. I really do think you're right, unless you got into the whole population demand where they're competing and stuff like that, which I'm not smart enough to go down that rabbit hole. But, yeah, I agree 100%. And I've joked with you for years. I'm not man enough to pick up that stick bow. I cannot. I physically cannot make myself. I think there's the point in my quote-unquote hunting career is like when I hit that magical 175 number, if I ever do, like that'll be the point where I feel like, okay, I've got what I wanted. Let's start toning it down and killing deer with a bow, because I believe there's a lot of guys out there that are the purist where it's know this, know that, I do this, I don't hunt with that, or whatever it may be. And it's like, are they doing that because they want the challenge, or are they using it as a scapegoat because they're not filling tags every year? And it seems like they're all kind of the same people, and those people drive me nuts. It's like, you got crossbows, you got rifles, muzzleloaders, crossbows, compound bows, stick bows. It's like, where do we draw the line where one's ethical? Well, during rifle season, a rifle is ethical because that is the season, and it's a short season, and muzzleloader. And then now in Kentucky, you've got guys that are like, well, it's a bow. It's like, no, you're carrying something that has the capability of shooting 100 yards at any point with a trigger from September to January.
And shoots better than Grandpa's 30-30 with iron sight.
Exactly. And it doesn't even bother me that people use them. If a guy is over the age of 40, he wants to pack one around, he's slowing down, he's hurting, he doesn't have a lot of time to hunt, whatever. But when I see an 18-year-old dragging the deer that I've been trying to kill for 2 or 3 years out of the woods with a crossbow in one hand and his rack in the other, like, that just pisses me off. But to play devil's advocate, there's a guy out there that's been watching me run around with my damn Hoyt or Matthews, whatever it may be, and I'm dragging the deer out that he's been chasing for 5 years with a stick bow, and he's just as mad at me. So it's like, it's such a fine line of what's right and what's wrong, and it's so hard to convince. It's basically just getting people to think the way that you think, and think that your way is right, and it's tough. And I don't like hurting people's feelings. I don't like making people feel small and whatnot, and I normally won't unless they come at me first, and then it's on.
So we just got done talking about the crossbow.
Yeah.
We were talking about the cell cam to start. The crossbow was the last big innovation to hit the archery world, to hit the bow hunting space. And how has that affected bow hunting since now that it's full blown, like we just described, better than a 30-30?
I got to wait 6 days to get my bow guy to work on my bow now because he's got 14 crossbows sitting on his, on his shelf.
Yeah. I look at the pureness of bow hunting and like, God, if we would have just shut that crossbow down from day one, I think we'd be in a little better place as far as you and I in the deer woods.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm, that's another kind of point I look at the cell cam is like, God, we messed up on the last big piece of technology to enter the sport. Are we sure we want to go down this one?
Yeah, and I think it'll eventually get to a point where there's going to be some state legislation start taking place. They've considered getting rid of, cameras, period, on public. And do I like that idea? Not really, because I like knowing what the biggest deer is out there, and I want to try to hunt him, and I'm not always going to kill him, but I may kill one that's still pretty good. But when you're hunting really big deer, sometimes you kill, average deer. I'm happy with average deer. But there has to be some line drawings somewhere. And I'm just going to give my thoughts on it. I'm pretty sure I know yours. But, as far as the cell cameras, I wish that they could implement, and I know they can, some kind of software to where, if it was every, some guys may say one transmission a day. And then, other guys may say, well, how about we get all the pictures once a week? What's fair? I wish that we would go to something like that. It makes it more fair. It makes it a little more challenging for the guys that are running out there and shooting them over a bait pile. And you need to get your pictures at like either 12 in the morning or 12 in the afternoon. You know what I mean? That's where I'd like to see something like that go. As far as the technology and stuff like Moultrie, I work with Moultrie, and some of the features that they're coming out with, like something I really love now that they've done. I wouldn't say it's a huge advantage as far as like getting pictures of bucks, but like they got this feature where if you've set your camera up and it's on every detection for any species, whatever it may be, so it may false trigger on limbs blowing around. Well, you've set it up in Tennessee on good faith on your farm or a WMA that you're planning to go back and hunt, and the limb keeps moving back and forth, and it's triggering photos, and it's killing your battery. You can go in on the app. You can actually go to this feature, and you can click the squares on that and tell it not to trigger from that location in the camera, no more whatsoever. Things like that, those kind of technological innovations, I think are really, really cool. I don't like where it's coming to where, oh, he's at, the scrape or the corn pile. I'm going live. Let's check him out. Let's watch him. Let's see what he does. I can't make anybody do or not do something, but I just hope it at some point there's a good middle ground. Is there anything like that you would like to see done to them besides? I mean, you may say no and just say you want them gone all the way, and that's great. That's fine. That's your opinion, and I respect it 110%.
Yeah, I think I'd say no ability to transmit. I think you got to go to the deer woods to learn about the deer woods. And that transmission piece also plays into the drone world where I really don't like what the drones can do, especially in the wrong hands.
Yes.
And especially a dog keeps honest people honest in that game, I feel. Right?
Yeah.
You can't sneak up on a deer with a dog most of the time.
No.
The deer gets up, runs away. You can't go execute some sketchy shit. Like a dog just how locks keep honest people honest.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just go no transmission. Let's keep hunting primitive. That's something I really believe in. I feel us as hunters, the reason we're more passionate than a golfer is we are tapping into some caveman shit.
Yeah.
We are tapping into something primal, something that our ancestors used to do. And that's why you and I are having this conversation, is we got so passionate about the sport of hunting that, I think we got to keep it primitive, if you will. I don't think we want to allow too much technology, because then they're just going to have to either change bag limits. Ground and deer are both, resources that are limited, and you're really going to have to play with a lot of things. And by keeping the sport primitive, I think that's what we need to really look at.
Hey guys, Jacob here with the Hunting Dad Podcast. I want to take just a few moments and talk to you guys about one of my favorite partners that I have. That is Waterfeather Boats. If you guys have followed my YouTube for long enough, you know that I'm a huge advocate for water access. It makes getting in close to those roosted birds extremely easy, and those hard to reach places where all the big bucks live a breeze. Not to mention that Waterfeather is a veteran-owned company proudly designed and manufactured right here in the U.S. in southern Indiana. Their flagship boat was built to handle up to 320 pounds payload with a cockpit that comfortably fits an adult and plenty of gear. Weighing just 58 pounds and right at 9 feet, it's maneuverable and easy to carry, yet tough enough to withstand any environment, making it perfect for hunters and anglers just like you and me. It's even rated up to a 2-horsepower motor and comes with a built-in platform, often used as a dog stand or extra gear storage. Lastly, Waterfeather has just introduced a brand new custom blind in mossy oak, making it ideal for duck hunters. There are plenty of ways to get on the water, but this one stands out as the best for me. Born and bred in the USA, this is the Waterfeather. Go farther, go feather. Hey guys, Jacob here with the Hunt Dad Podcast. If you guys have followed my YouTube, DO3 Outdoors, for any amount of time, you know that I'm a huge fan of companies that build a great product that even the blue-collar guys like me can afford. For years, I would skimp out on optics on my hunts because of that intimidating price tag, or knowing that what I could actually afford at a young age was going to be absolute junk. Luckily, over the last few years, I've discovered Hawk Optics. Hawk makes a great line of glass, scopes, and accessories that are easy on the wallet but perform at a high-end level. One thing I really love about Hawk is their unmatched customer service. Real people, fast answers, and a company that actually stands behind what it sells. And let's not forget, with Hawk's lifetime no-fault warranty, you are covered for life on your gear. Since using Hawk Optics, my 4 personal favorite pieces so far is the 10x42 monocular, the Nature Trek spotting scope, the Frontier ED 8x42 binos, and of course the Endurance rangefinder. If you guys are interested about any scopes, pieces of glass, or accessories, be sure and go check out hawkoptics.com. That's HAWKE optics.com. Yep, I like it. Well, I know you got to get off here in the next 20 minutes, so let's touch on a couple bits of the new technology. So something I seen the other day I want to get your thoughts on. Did you see the blood trailing app?
I have not seen a blood trailing app.
So Greg Mayhair, the owner of Meadow Creek Mounts for Shotguns, he kind of asked me if I'd seen it. We've been chatting about it, and it's an app, and I know there's people out there that know more about it than me. I need to look into it more, but you can use your phone and walk while you're blood trailing a deer, and it will significantly brighten what is blood. And he tested it with fake blood from Walmart, and he said it worked pretty good. And I'm kind of one of those guys where anything that helps somebody recover a deer, I'm all for it for the most part. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm slightly colorblind, and red and orange are colors I don't see well.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I don't. I on the scale of things, that's not super high on my this feels dirty scale.
Yeah, I like that. Now the drones is something else, and I'll die on this hill. I'm gonna say it right now, and everybody can make their own assumptions. There are a lot of people that bounce around, and they are killing a big deer everywhere they go, every time they step in the woods. And they are the most praised, cheered for humans on this earth. And it's I know a lot of really good hunters. I know a lot of really good public land hunters, and they're not doing that kind of stuff. What are they doing? And the only thing I can think is they've dropped $4 or $5 grand. They've dropped $7 grand. They've got a thermal drone. And they're finding these deer quick, fast, and in a hurry. I don't know and I just may be making assumptions and I'm jealous. And if somebody wants to say that, that's fine. And I may be wrong. They may just be that much better than me. There's a lot of people that are better than me. I don't even claim to be a good hunter. I just claim to have a lot of time to hunt, and I'm persistent, and I get lucky a lot. But the thermal drones, man, I think they are used so much more than people know about. I had a DJI Mini 3 Pro. I bought it because I use water access a lot. It would track you, and I wanted some of them really cool shots. You know what I mean? And then last year I started using it a little bit, and I would fly out, a mile or two from where I was, and I could check what fields were planted without having to go out at 12 o'clock in the afternoon when I had time to go and sweat to death, jump back in my truck and drive somewhere else. I could check, that's a soybean field. That's a native field. That's a corn field. And then there was a point where, you can't use it on public land, but I was flying this drone. This guy told me I could photograph deer. I was like, well, I'm going to fly this thing back here. And I was showing him, I was like, look at that thing. And it's a place that's untouchable. You can't hunt it. And it's just the deer hated it, by the way, but you could fly that thing right above them deer. It was 180-inch deer. He's like, I had no idea that thing was back there. And I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of people that are using these things and not for the right reasons. And I ain't going to sit here and say that I was going to, but I ended up selling that thing anyways because I'm looking at it right now. I bought my wife this really nice TV stand fireplace, and we were tight on money, and it was a quick $600, and I sold it, and I bought that, and right now I miss it. There's a couple fields I wish I knew if they were soybeans, and I just ain't got the heart in me yet to walk 2 miles back there to find out if it is. I will eventually. But, yeah, I think people are misusing a lot of that stuff that we don't even know about.
Yeah, I caught wind last year. I think it was the year before. One of the pieces of public near the house, the guys were taking the thermal drones and flying the CRP field and then hunting the edges. Because they could land it, because technically in the rule book, it's not currently in the air, so they would buzz the CRP. And then I heard about in another state, guys selling pins. Hey,
it is. He's from Michigan, And he come down to Kentucky. There was a guy on a podcast yesterday I seen, and I just want to call him out so bad. That deer was found with a drone. He hunted him for however many days, and he eventually killed him. But these guys are buying pins. Like, I mean, God, like, just bugs me. And they're just put on a pedestal. I mean, a pedestal way up here. Drives me nuts.
Yeah.
I wish I don't
we
know
might be
the
talking
guys.
about the same podcast.
Yeah, I don't know the guys. It's actually funny. I ranted about this on another podcast, and I was like, yeah, there's some dude from Michigan and yada, 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 and he's coming down and flying these drones, and people are killing a damn deer every time they go out, and blah, 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 blah. And Andy May thought I was talking about him because he heard Michigan. He heard drone. He's like, oh, I ain't doing that. So he actually reached out to me, and I was like, no, absolutely not. You're my idol. I think the world of you. You're exactly what I'd like to be one day. And I can't remember the guy's name. There's a couple of my buddies that they know his name personally, but state of Kentucky doesn't care. They don't care. He comes down here, picks them all out on WMAs, and goes on with his life and sells everybody where the deer is.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, Byron, we're coming up on 45 minutes. I don't want to jump you right off here and right back into your other job, but got any closing thoughts or whatever it may be?
Yeah, there was one nugget here. A lot of guys talk about time being why they go for the cell cams.
That's me. I'm guilty.
Well, I get it, but I will say this. So you're trying to shoot nicer bucks generally if you're running cell cams. You're not interested in doe picks. Like, we're there for the bucks.
Pretty much.
Right?
Yep.
So shooting higher level bucks is obviously upper echelon hunting. And like, I look at a lot of other sports things, and there's no technology hack to necessarily jump the gun. Like, if you want a jump shot like Steph Curry or a really good golf game, you got to go put the reps in. You got to hit balls. You got to shoot jump shots. And I think guys that argue the time factor, it's like, dude, you're not going to kill a big buck every year if you ain't got time to necessarily scout or go pull cards. Mm-hmm. You know, if the cell cam is your be all end all. And I'll say this, what's happening at a very high level, a buddy of mine runs an outfitter, and 4 years ago, you know what he did? Because of cell cams, and he's very he thinks he gets my take. But he told me, he goes, Byron, the cell cams have now affected my business, where he fired his part-time help, right? Because he doesn't have to go pull cards or need help pulling cards.
Yeah.
And he bought an additional 50 acres on the road to add to his collection.
Yeah.
So because of the monitor, you can monitor things without stepping foot on the ground. The guys with the cash, why not get a second lease? Because time used to be the big factor of like, yeah, they had the money, but they couldn't be multiple places at one time. Guy might own 20 acres, lease 100. You know what? With the cell cam, I can now lease another 80. And it's just displacing hunters. Like, that's a huge factor of, I don't know, maybe not the best thing for hunting going into the future.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there, man. I'm going to agree. And man, if a guy can run 10 to 20 plus cell cameras and afford the unlimited plans, props to you, dude. Because I guarantee you the price, let's say he runs them from June to January, that price it's got to get close to $5,000-$6,000 if you've got enough of them at like what, $15-$16 a pop for unlimited plans. That adds up quick. I mean, really, really quick. And if you want to buy additional photos or HD photos and stuff like that, like I feel like camera companies, they make their money on the cameras, but they're making them more off the plans. And
but you could probably just turn the plan on from October 1st through end of November. Like, if you can. Just curious.
You can for sure.
Oh,
but yeah, I hope that we find some good middle ground, and not necessarily just they go away, but they just become more fair. I'm with you with a lot of ways. In some ways, I'm kind of set in mine, and that's the whole reason I wanted to do this, man. It's good to talk about it, but anyways, man, I don't want to keep you. I appreciate you joining me for the last 45 minutes or so. It's been a good little chit chat.
Yeah, we'll have to do like a fun one about random dad stuff in the outdoors.
Yeah, well, we got to throw one more rant in here. Can
Yeah.
can you walk me through how much money you've spent on your AC going out? Because we just dropped $6,700, and that's with her cousin doing the work. So I'm sure it's a little bit of a savings, but that's a brand new furnace and a brand new AC.
Well, and there's like a rule that like shit happens in threes. So we ended up putting about 600 into the AC last week. But then get this, right? Tech had to come out 3 times, but you know, there were little troubleshooting issues. Saturday night, after the AC's finally up and operational for 24 hours, the dishwasher decides to take a shit as well. And so Sunday, I spent the day installing a new one of those. So it's just like, dude,
It's always
dads out there can relate.
It's always something for us. We're always having to learn how to fix something. Oh, Lord. Well, guys, if you've watched, I appreciate you watching on YouTube. Byron, I need you to drop your business and your YouTube, man. I know you got a little like a antler hanging thing.
I guess we do have.
Yeah,
we do. I'll send you some. But yeah, like I kind of got a small e-commerce business that we make a very affordable shed mount for your antlers that is pretty sweet. As far as you don't have to drill into them, you can get them on the wall for cheap. Like that was always a goal of mine. Is I wanted antlers in my garage for cheap.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Look, you can kind of click through my links, but yeah, Whitetail Experience on YouTube, Instagram, and that'll kind of get you to my small e-commerce store.
Yeah. Well, you ain't got to send me none. I'll buy a couple.
I'll send you some.
I don't find very many sheds. If I do, it's a miracle. The only sheds that I find is when I'm hightailing it through the woods on a goblin turkey, and I look down and like, there we go. Keep going. You only stop for antlers and mushrooms briefly.
Very good.
All right, guys. Like I said, if you've watched, appreciate you on YouTube. If you've listened, appreciate that as well. Everybody that took time to write and leave a 5-star review on both Apple Podcasts and Spotify, you have helped this grow tremendously so far. And once again, congrats to the winners. If you want to continue to help it grow, you can head over there and do that now. But other than that, hope you guys have a good Wednesday night. Appreciate you, and we'll see you next week.